What's up everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new up in this place, my name is Ngomani. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for clicking on this video yet again. I know I've been MIA, but I'm back with one of these sit-down videos as we go through my move to London and some of the things that I do wish to share with you guys, especially if you are looking to make the same decision. Today's video, I'm talking about the cost of living in London, and this is from the perspective of a newly qualified CA. So if you are a newly qualified, or you're going to be qualified soon, you're looking to move to London, you want to find out, what amount of rent can I expect to pay? What are some of the costs that I can incur as I live in London? What do I need to pay for? What don't I need to pay for? I think this video is for you. At the end of the video, I will also sort of compare this cost of living to some salary packages that I've seen, and then we're going to see whether or not the salary package that maybe you're being offered can cover this cost. Obviously, as a disclaimer, this will highly depend on your lifestyle as a person. I am not an expensive person. I understand that I'm newly qualified, and I understand that I don't have money to blow, so I try to keep things as low as possible. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get on to today's video. So the first thing that I want to start with is the rent. And if you've been doing your research on moving to London, you'll know a lot of people say the rent is probably going to be the most expensive thing that you're going to pay. But honestly, it really depends on the kind of person that you are. It really depends on what you prefer and what your lifestyle is sort of like. So if you're somebody who wants to stay in a bougie apartment that looks nice with everything and like posh stuff, you're also gonna have to pay a little bit of a premium for that. But if you're somebody who's just comfortable with just renting a room in a house share, they do have buildings that they call house shares here, where you can rent a bedroom and you rent it in a house that is also renting other bedrooms to other people, and you guys just share the common living spaces like the kitchen, the lounge. Sometimes you do share a bathroom depending on the kind of house share that you get. Other types of accommodation include your normal flat or apartment, which is similar to the one that I live in. If you haven't watched my apartment tour video, I will link it up somewhere above here. So if you prefer to live in an apartment, then you would obviously pay a little bit more depending also on where that apartment is. But anyway, let's get on to how much I spend per month and how much it costs me to live in London. So the first thing is rent. And I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a prominent area. I am close to railway stations. There are bus routes to get me from point A to point B. I pay about 1,880 for the 2-bedroom apartment. So obviously I am sharing, and I think that's another thing. If you want to lower your costs, consider sharing an apartment or sharing a space with somebody else just to help with the cost. So I am sharing, so that 1,880 is divided into 2. Then my share is about £940, right? That is the rent. I should note that our rent includes Wi-Fi, right? So the amount of rent that I pay also includes Wi-Fi. The second thing is utilities, and utilities includes your water, your electricity, the heating system, and all the waste management, all of those costs. For a 2-bedroom apartment where I am renting, that fee is £140 for a 2-bedroom. So we share it again between me and my flatmate, and my share is £70. So altogether for rent and for utilities, my share of the cost is a total of £1,011, right? Moving on to council tax. So coming from South Africa, I had done my research and I knew there's something called council tax, but I didn't really understand what council tax is or what it's for. So basically, council tax is a tax that you pay to your local borough and in the area that you stay in London, basically for the maintenance of the area, things like the street lights, things like, picking up rubbish, cleaning up, just like services that need to be carried out within your area to keep your area safe, to keep your area clean and all of that. I've heard people liken to council tax here as rates and taxes in South Africa. You know how when you're a tenant in South Africa, you don't pay rates and taxes because those are the expenses of the landlord. So obviously the rates and taxes that the landlord pays in South Africa is to manage the complex that you're in, for the gardening services, for the lights, for the streets, the cleaning up, and all of those things. It's exactly the same thing. The only thing is that the tenant in London then pays that amount. So that is the council tax. And our council tax, it's charged by the size of the place that you rent. So for a 2-bedroom that I'm renting in the area that I'm at, that is £150, and I share that cost with my flatmate again, so that comes to £75 for me, right, for my account. So the total, I want to say the overall total of renting, because as a consequence of renting, I have to pay rental, I have to pay utilities, and I have to pay council tax. That comes up to about £1,086. So that can build up pretty fast. The next thing that I want to mention is transport. So with transport, I do go to the office on certain days a week. I have never been at the office for 3 days in any week since I started. The maximum I've been in 1 week has been 2 days. So I'm just going to calculate this on an average of me going to the office for 2 days a week, because that's what has been happening. So I use the tube or the train, and to get on the train recently, because of the whole economic situation that has been going on globally, costs have gone up, and I now pay £3.10 for a one-way trip from my place to the office. So a return trip will be £6.20. So if I calculate that over a month, the total cost of transport is about £75 for 4 weeks, right? The next thing is food. And by food, I mean groceries. I buy my own groceries, and I like to cook my own food. I think it's more nutritious and it is cheaper that way. So for food, I spend about £20 a week. I buy groceries on a weekly basis depending on what I want to eat. I find no value in buying bulk things, because especially food, especially perishable food, because I could buy a whole lot of, I don't know, potatoes, but I don't feel like eating potatoes for the next 3 days or for the next week. So I buy things on a weekly basis that I want to eat, and that costs me about £20 per week for groceries. So at the end of the month, I spend around £80 on food or groceries. The next thing I want to mention is outings and just leisure, if I can put it that way. So I'm not really like an outing person. I don't normally eat out. Or I do eat out, but like I don't go to like fancy restaurants and have like 3-course meals and have wines and spirits and all of that. I'm a really basic person. I like to use my money towards experiences. I like to use my money towards travel. So outings for me are really travel, but these outings that I'm talking about here is just like going out, like a day out, I don't know, maybe to the museum, or you want to do like tourist attraction places, things like the London Eye, London Bridge, and just seeing places around the city. For me, that I budget about £100 a month. That includes transport to those attractions. That includes maybe a lunch or maybe a brunch or something like that. It also includes these attraction places and the cost that I incur in those places. So for instance, to go onto the London Eye thing would cost you around £5, stuff like that. So I spend about £100 on these types of outings a month, and I think that is enough, because I don't eat out every weekend. I don't eat out during the week because I cook my own food. I only eat out on a weekend, probably on a Saturday or a Sunday, never really both days, but sometimes if I do feel like eating out, I do. This also includes takeaways, by the way, so I do buy takeaways sometimes. And then the next thing that I pay for are my subscription stuff. So I do have a subscription or my data plan on my phone, just to make sure that I am connected when I'm not in the house, because when I'm in my apartment, we do have Wi-Fi. So when I'm out and about, I do have a subscription where I pay £10 for my data. I get 10 gigabytes of data and I get unlimited calls, unlimited texts around the UK. So that is my subscription for a data plan. The other thing is my Apple services, things like my iCloud storage. So that I pay on a monthly basis, obviously, and I pay £10 for that because my subscription is still in South Africa. So I was still in South Africa, and I decided not to change the location, so I kept it there. So I pay an equivalent of £10. And then the other thing is banking fees, because we tend to forget these things. So banking fees, I bank with Investec UK here, and I pay a fee for banking with them, which is about £10 a month. So yeah, those are my total costs. I don't think I've left out anything, but the total of everything comes up to about £1,370 per month, rent and everything included. So you could say an equivalent of about £1,400, right? Now, to equate this in terms of salaries, which is the second part of this video that I want to talk about, let's say you are being offered a job where you get about 2,500 net, net of tax and net of national insurance and all of those things. I think you could manage really well, because of the 2,500 that you have coming in as your salary, if you just deduct the 1,400 of all these living expenses that I just mentioned, you have an excess of £1,100, right? £1,100 is a lot of money. If you are a saver and an investor like me, and let's say you save around £500 a month, you still have an excess of about £600 a month, that you could use to travel, that you could use to invest more or add on to your investment, or you could use to start a side hustle. So that is my cost. And if you're earning anything about £2,300 net, if 2,300 is hitting your bank account, okay, so after they've deducted the tax and everything, I think you could live a fairly good lifestyle in London as a newly qualified CA. Obviously I always advocate for negotiating as much as you can in the salary, because it's nice to be able to do a lot more with your money. But I think if you are at about 2.3, north of 2.3, then you should be fine. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helped somebody. Please drop me down a comment and tell me what you think of this cost. But I think honestly, relatively to the pound, these are quite reasonable. Yes, the rent is a bit high, but all the other costs are quite reasonable. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Drop me a comment down below, let me know of your thoughts. Please don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share this video with anybody who is looking to make the decision to move. I will see you in my next video. Bye.